I did not plan to review this planner. I didn't plan to review this planner, but I saw it when I was at Target and it got me at the exact right time that I might be interested in something like this. So let's talk about it. Hi everybody, today I am taking a look at the Garden Journal by Simplified, the Emily Ley planner company, and it's one of the planners that they did with At a Glance, so the Target line of planners. So I don't anticipate that this is going to be like a super high-end planner because I just bought it off the shelf at Target and it's the At a Glance line, which are meant to be more accessible, affordable planners. However, I'm interested in this not because I need a new planner. I really don't. I really don't. But because I plan to start vertical gardening this in the next month or so, and this could be very helpful for me, or it could be very useless for me. Let's find out. So a little bit of information. I don't have a ton, much like a lot of other At a Glance Target style planners. They don't usually have a ton of information about like page weight and anything like that. I saw it on the shelf at Target over in their stationery section. It was $9.99. So again, it doesn't have to be the most amazing quality ever. It's only $10. 160 pages. And the size is 8.5 inches by 10 inches. According to this little sheet right here, it has garden simplicity tips, monthly spreads, note pages, and to-do lists. And it's meant for growing, tending, and harvesting. And that's all the information I could find off of the website. So there you go. Anyway, let's take a look. It has a wire O binding, which is not my favorite, and I tend to really dislike it when it comes to like flimsier, inexpensive planners. However, because this would not be a main planner for me, I don't see why that would be as big of a deal if it's a journal where I'm not like digging through it every single day, multiple times a day. However, just something to be aware of. So the cover is like a coated chipboard. It's got like a soft matte touch, but it doesn't give you that like weird fingerprinty thing that sometimes happens with soft matte. It has some flexibility to it and it's very thick. It has this adorable like fruit and vegetable little pattern on it with the Simplified Garden Journal and gold foil, and the wire O binding is also gold. And then the back side of it is just plain white. This first page is a coated cardstock with a soft matte, again, not fingerprinty, but like a soft to the touch kind of coating on it. It says the Simplified Garden Journal for growing, tending, and harvesting belongs to, and I would imagine if you're going to write on this, I would use a Sharpie because regular pen will likely smear, unless it's a ballpoint. Ballpoints sometimes do well on paper like this. On the back here is just information about the Simplified community and Simplified planner and blah, blah, blah. Moving forward, so it comes with, it looks like 1 page of stickers, and what it gives you is, again, a soft matte sticker paper, which is both nice and also I hate the feel of it, but I have texture issues, so there you go. We've got it looks like 15 fertilized stickers, 15 prune stickers, 15 harvest stickers, and then a metric shit ton of little watering dots, which I think is great. Sometimes I find when a planner gives you stickers, they don't give you enough stickers. They give you like a smattering of stickers. This actually is, there's a smattering of these guys, like a few weathers and some of these little fruits and harvest. I probably wouldn't use these. I really dislike the lettering style. But the fact that these practical stickers, there's a shit ton, there's only 4 kinds and there's a ton of each of them. I like that. The page is also perforated, so you can tear it out and put it somewhere that's not in the front of the planner. It looks like actually all of the pages are perforated, which is very cool because you can use it more like a notebook. It says here that you don't need a green thumb to tend a thriving garden. It is our hope that this journal will help you take the stress out of gardening so you have more time for enjoying your harvest. Well, that would be nice. So we'll see how that goes. They are talking about you going to Facebook to join their Simplified Sisterhood. I'm not a fan of gendering things, but whatever. I saw it here and in the front. It's this, again, personal preference. Let's move forward. And then it also has you like say, go check out my books. And then, so this is like a sweet little note from Emily Ley, the owner of Simplified, or the founder of it. But then this is a much longer, more detailed letter from Whitney, who is the creative director for Simplified, and who apparently, according to this letter, is an avid backyard gardener. She says here, I like to begin planning my summer garden in December or January. It gives you time to start your seeds, blah, blah, blah. But first you have to determine the dates of your growing season and when your plants aren't going to get killed by frost, and then you can start the planning steps. She also has a garden handbook online that you can find. I might go check that out because I find this letter to be more helpful as somebody who has had very limited experience gardening outside and is a little intimidated but really wants strawberries and potentially green beans this summer. Anyway. How to plan your garden. Make a wish list of everything you'd like to grow. Sketch out your garden dimensions. This person uses Adobe Illustrator and the Procreate app to create a 2-scale plan of your garden, but pen and paper works as well, and there are grid pages included in this journal for you to do that. The recommendation here is to sketch your garden space on the grid pages and then cut sticky notes following that scale for each plant. That way you can move your plants around until you have everything spaced just right. That's kind of cool. Mark your last frost date in the monthly spread. I believe ours is Mother's Day. Number the weeks before that date, working backwards. Using the week-by-week planning pages, list out which seeds need to be started each week. Every seed pack will tell you when and how to start the plant. And then add your prep chores to the week-by-week planning pages. Example, add compost to existing garden beds 3 weeks before the last frost. Top off mulch. And then plant your garden and enjoy. Now, a lot of this I won't be doing this year because I'm going to be using starter plants from the nursery. I don't have it in me to start seeds this year, but this will be something to save for next year, most likely. And then here is a reflection on last year's garden, what worked last year, what didn't work last year, and then ideas for new routines and methods to help you remember and boost your harvest. Here are your goals of what you want to get out of your garden this year, and it gives you space for 8 of them. Over here is the USDA plant hardiness zone map. I believe I am in zone 5B. Like it's a little bit, I know that this is like the basic zones, but I know especially with Colorado to really look a little deeper. And from everything I understand, zone 5B, and from everything my neighbors have said, the general wisdom is to not plant before Mother's Day. Plant wish list, which is just like a line for name and details, and then a little box to, I'm presuming, check off when you actually get it. Seasonal tasks. Many tasks need to be completed just once a year. Jot those tasks down here and refer to this list every month to make sure you accomplished everything. So they have spring, summer, fall, and winter. Over here is the yearly task overview. So it's just a box for every month of the year, January through December. I do, thus far at least, it feels like none of this is arranged in such a way that could make this journal not work for people in the Southern Hemisphere. I know sometimes you have journals where like spring and winter, everything is like assigned to months and the seasons are reversed in the Southern Hemisphere. So I'm just keeping an eye out on that for those of you who might potentially want to find something like this in Australia and you garden at a different time of year than we do in the United States. Over here is your shopping list. You have 2 pages of this. I think, yeah, 4 pages, 2 full spreads of this. So it is a checkbox, item, and where to buy, basically. The only thing I would add to this potentially is cost, to keep an eye on how much you spent that year. But you could easily just draw another line down and put cost. And I might do that if I use this. Then here we have the timing pages, the seed starting pages, which were talked about at the beginning. So what you get here is just this spread, but you have the full page of it here and then most of the page here. It's set up with plant name, indoor, and then how you're going to start it. Indoors, direct seed or by plant. So maybe that's what I'll be doing, is using this for that. Number of plants, when to start seeds or plant in the garden. So I do like that they have used this for people who are starting seeds, but also people like me who are going with starter plants instead this year because of being a noob. Planting timeline. And again, you can, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, this has nothing on it about specific months, just the estimated last frost and where you are going to start this. Now, from when I'm filming this, which is mid-April, I would likely only be, I think, let me look at the calendar. If the last frost is supposed to be on Mother's Day, I am only 2.5 weeks out from the last frost, so this might not be a spread that would totally work for me right now. It might not be as useful, but definitely next year. And then here are the spaces for the garden layout. So it gives you grid pages, and then you can decide what your measurement units are going to be, and then you can use this. I love that idea for sticky notes. This is not exactly what I would use because I'm not planting in the ground. Well, I actually am. I'll be picking up some lavender plants to plant by our walkway, but that'll be the only in-ground planting I'm doing aside from probably sprinkling some seed in the places where our lawn died over the winter. We haven't quite figured out the Colorado situation yet, but I will be using a green stalk to plant in my front yard where there's sun. And so I definitely need to plan out what's going to go into each tier, but it's not going to be like a square footage situation. So I will probably I could use pages like this, but not in the exact way they were intended. It looks like there are 6 full spreads of this. So there's plenty of space depending on how big your garden is and depending on what amount of what unit of measurement you apply to these grids. Then we get to the weekly routine. So it says here, creating routines for weekly garden tasks can help alleviate the burden of accomplishing everything all at once. So it gives you just the whole week, Mondays through Sundays, to put in what your tasks are. I don't know if this is something I would use. I have the Planta app, and I actually paid for the premium version of it because I use it for all my house plants, and I think you can do it for outdoor plants, and that tells me what my tasks are, but I'm not sure. But it could be very helpful, especially if you didn't want to pay for an app. And then this is your garden wins, so it gives you a place to jot them down. And the suggestions they have here is like this bush bloomed for the first time, or you were able to make sauce with your tomatoes. Blah, blah, blah. And that gives you space for, it looks like 12 wins. Here's some garden simplicity tips. Easy to grow veggies and herbs, easy to grow flowers, tomatoes, cutting zinnias, choosing a garden location, companion planting, watering and fertilizing tips. And then here is notes page, just aligned notes. And then we get into the monthly layouts. You get a blank layout with a Sunday through Saturday calendar with 5 weeks, a spot to write the month, and then a notes section. And it's just a basic blank layout. I wish the monthly planners and a lot of planners had this much neutrality. I actually appreciate that, especially because they have sprinkled color on a few of the pages. I was curious. Not that it matters. For a journal like this, I really don't give that much of a fuck. But in general, I love a good neutral planner, and this is very neutral. So here's your month. Then you flip into your next section, and it is a couple of to-do pages, and you get a whole column of notes. You get a whole column of to-dos with a little circle check box, and you get 2 columns per page and 2 full pages of to-dos. Then we have 3 full spreads of lined note pages, and we go into the next month. So this is a 12-month situation, and it doesn't look like there's anything extra. It's just the month, the spread of to-do lists, and then the 3 spreads of notes, and then you go into the next month. You get to the end of it, and the very last month, you get the spread of to-do, but one of the pages is on that same coded cardstock from the front of the planner, not the cover, but the front page. And then the back page is 1 notes page with, on that same paper, and then a blank back. And then the back is just the pattern with the simplified situation. So I don't know what the paper weight is here, but it feels like nice printer paper. I would say 28 pound, maybe 30 pound printer paper, probably 28 pound. It's a nice bright white, and it does feel nice with a little bit of a grit to it. I'm not going to pen test because I guess I will pen test. I guess I will. I'm not going to give this one away because I'm very likely going to use this, even if what I might do is just copy some of the pages because, like I said, some of these aren't going to apply to me this year, but they will apply to me in later years. For my pen test, I have a Pentel Energel RTX 07. For my fine liner, I have a Scribbles That Matter fine liner. I've got a Tombow dual brush marker, a Zig clean color dot pen, and a Zebra mild liner pen. So I am heavy-handed. I did press down lightly once with the dot pen and then heavier with the dot pen. I have a single stroke of the highlighter and then a doubled up stroke of the highlighter because that often happens. It looks like the Tombow is bleeding where I initially pressed it down, but then as you go on, it stops bleeding. There is ridging with the gel pen. There is no ridging, but there is shadowing with the fine liner. We also have a bit of bleed through with the harder press of the dot pen, as well as where I pressed down the highlighter initially on the single pass over. But on the double pass over, I've got a little tiny bit of bleed through also where I pressed it down initially, but then it's just shadowing. So I would suggest you can use highlighters and dot markers in here, just go with a lighter hand. But the paper writes on nicely, the texture is nice. And for $9.99, like, how much was I? This is great. It could have been like tissue paper, and I probably would have been like, yeah, it's probably accurate for the cost. Overall, I actually was expecting this to be maybe a little weak sauce, but I actually really like a lot of the info in it as a first, well, it's the first time I've gardened, but this is like, I'm still very much a noob. So I'm planning to probably use this. I might partially use it this year, and then I don't know if they're going to offer it again or not. Like, that's the problem. You find something like this that you love, and then you lose it. What I might wind up doing, this is going to sound like such a douche move, but I might scan some of these pages in and just pop them into my iPad so that I can reuse them from year to year if I find them helpful. I don't know. I'd love to hear from you. If you are a seasoned gardener, is something like this that you use, or do you have something else that you use to plan out your gardening? And if you are not a seasoned gardener, you're like me, but maybe you're interested in trying it or trying it on your patio or something like that, let me know if this is something you might want to use. I'm just curious. I'd love also any suggestions for planners for me to take a look at, as well as potentially other garden journals for me to take a look at. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, friends, peace.